But yes, I am here to talk to co-directors Tiffany Bedwell and John Mossman about the short movie Fitting Descriptions, which is on Sunday the 26th of May, 9:30 till 11:30 over on Screen 1. And you may remember, Romford fans, you may remember John as director for A Good Guy with a Gun, and also Tiffany, who won Best Supporting Actress for Good Guy with a Gun. How are you guys tonight?
Doing great.
Yeah, we're doing great.
So happy to be here.
Yeah, it's wonderful to be back.
It's cool. One of the things that we love about the festival is when people give us their projects, their babies, as I like to call them. They let us screen them up on the big screen for everyone to see. But then not only that, when they produce another child, they come back to us with it, and that's what we love about our fest, is that people keep coming back year on year. So seeing your guys' film, seeing this short come through again was, yeah, I loved it. I was so happy to see that.
We were like, we've got to get it over to Romford. Hopefully they'll have us, have us again, and show a different side of what we can collaborate on.
Yeah, and it was a pretty quick follow-up to the feature, and so it felt great to get back on that horse with a lot of members of the previous team that just decided we really liked working together and started building a little more formalized structure of things that we hope to do in the future. So yeah, it's been a good experience all around.
Awesome. And Tiffany, let's jump back quickly a little bit first, because this is our first time having a chat, having the pleasure to speak to you. So can you give us a little bit of insight into your background, how you came into acting, and sort of where you came from, kind of thing?
Sure. Yeah, I started acting in high school, stage. I thought that's all I would ever do, and moved to Chicago from the Detroit area, which is about a 4-hour drive, to do stage. And stage is amazing here and awesome. And I did that for several years. And then I transitioned at my agent's encouragement into film and TV, which is sort of interesting because the character in the film does a bit of a transition as well. So that did also happen to me. And then my true love is, theater still has a spot in my heart, but there's just so much you can do on film that you can't achieve on a stage. Just this, the smallest little moments that you can do that, you can attempt to do on a stage, but, people aren't going to catch that. And then also the eternal nature of film, get it out there. And then now my great-grandchildren can see it,
For better or for worse.
For better and for worse. So, I transitioned over into film and TV, and I just, I'm bit by the bug. I just want to keep making films with the team that we have going, John and I, and as he mentioned, a lot of the people that worked on Good Guy with the Gun and this film as well.
And what was it about filmmaking, film acting? You got bit by the bug, but what is that passion? What is it that makes you want to do it every day?
Yeah, I just think, first of all, I think it's so difficult to get on it. Once on stage, you have the sort of pattern of what you want to do with this character. I do miss that beginning, middle, end of being able to follow that character's journey chronologically. I miss that. But the fact that in film you can explore this character, you can find this very raw and honest and true moment, and it's captured, is such a truth that you don't have to manufacture it over and over and over again. It's been captured and it's there. So that part to me really resonated with me, and I just think the sort of devastation. I prefer to explore characters who have like a dark side, even though there's humor there, but like the darkness, I feel like you can communicate that a lot better, on film. Just the depth of emotional trauma and despair. I'm so fascinated by it.
But it's also, there's a lot of comedy.
There is a lot of comedy
in our despair.
Because trauma is so funny.
It's hysterical when it's not happening to you.
I think to be fair, there is a very, very thin line between comedy and like the horror of life, to be fair. And it's our way of dealing with a lot of that situation, is the fact that, in one of those moments, let's just crack a joke. It's so it does go hand in hand.
Yeah, I think that's kind of one of the reasons why we tend. I think we work together. We have similar, similar tastes in that way, inclinations to go towards like we have to go as far down the rabbit hole to complete and utter devastation as possible. And then maybe there's going to be a laugh down there somewhere.
Right. And let's just, you can always pull it back, John. John says, like, you can always pull back a little bit, but go there.
Yeah. But we're big on the let's try and everything we do. Like, let's start with this take and then let's try this and let's try this. And she's just really good at doing that once we get in that rhythm and you're in the, psychological space to let us, enter into your psychological
especially in that
interior.
one when we were like, so when we're in those close-ups on the main character in fitting descriptions, you were just like, you know what, let's just shoot a bunch of like just go a bunch of takes in a row. We had this great cinematographer, Chris Rayano, and he just says yes to things, and we were just like a little bit like, it was a little bit of a detour, right? We were about to do another, and you're like, you know what, the light was right, and you're like, let's just set it up. It was right before lunch, and you're like, let's just like get in and let's just do a bunch of and you were pulling out, you were panning in, and then you were giving me all these kinds of, okay, now imagine a person just said to you, some of the worst things, like, you'll never be a successful actor, or, I don't know, you look, I can't remember some of the things you said to me, but just, getting that in and out and going to those horrible, devastating places of crying and everything. And then
being now laugh. Which was one of my most, it was really fascinating to watch you try to laugh through. Yeah. To try to laugh through the most utter devastation I've ever seen you in.
So in fact, as we're talking about it, those shots really typify what we're talking about, where he did put me into those devastating places. And then he's like, but now you're trying to laugh. Just laugh through it. You're trying to get through these interviews with these strangers about what do they think about you. They don't even know you. Like, laugh about it. They're laughing. You laugh.
Unfortunately, Tiffany has a very deep well of despair.
Fortunately for everyone else. Unfortunately for my family.
And I really don't know where to go from there. But this question seems like a little bit of a redundant question in a way, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Where did the initial concept, the initial seed, the initial story of fitting descriptions come from?
Yeah, so I collaborated with Dave Reedy, who's a fantastic writer, and also my spouse. Brilliant writer. And he just kind of came to me one day after this is based off of a lot of things that actually happened to me as an actor, and just kind of like names and places have been changed to protect the innocent, but like mostly, true. And he came to me and said, what if I do this story, where you're out on the street, or a character is out on the street, asking strangers for what they think of her, like basically what you did, but it blends with, previous street man, woman on the street traumas that you've had in the past. And he kind of like, he made a proposal to me basically of like how he thought the story would go. Mm-hmm. And I was like, sure, whatever. He's a writer. He started with fiction writing. So I thought this was going to be a little bit of a lark for him. I didn't know we would actually like produce it. And we went back and forth. It was a fun thing for us, when our kids were at, school, or like, whenever we had a chance, we would just collaborate back and forth and do drafts. And then at the end, he's like, I think we have our final draft. Let's produce it. And I'm like, what? Produce it? Really? I didn't think you meant that. And we did go back and forth on whether I would play the role or not. I just felt like it was close to home. It was a lot of like me being me. I always say as an actor, I think it's easier to be someone much further away from who you are, as opposed to, I don't know, when it hits real close to home, I think it feels vulnerable. It feels scary. So I almost was like, maybe we cast someone else as Dina, but I went ahead and did.
Oh God, no. No.
But then
for me, that's like, that vulnerability is, that's like the lightning.
Yeah.
Because there's moments in the show where it's sort of like, yes, you're playing a character, obviously, but obviously I know that you're an actress. People know you're an actress because you're in a short movie. I kind of already know that these things most likely did in a way happen to you. So that vulnerability, it's absolutely there on the screen, and you have certain mannerism and certain facial expressions that you pull, and it's sort of like, yeah, that's just her. That's just Tiffany right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And those moments, because I actually, P.S., did an actual man on the street, like people on the street advertising campaign for a cell phone company called US Cellular back in like 2005. And we actually wore giant ears. And it was called Talk Your Ear Off. Am I allowed to even say this?
I don't know, man. But this is a true story. You would think
It's,
you made up
it's staying in.
a weird set of circumstances of a girl with a giant ear in a giant ear.
Yeah, but I actually was wearing a giant ear, and we were up on a certain neighborhood in Chicago, like the north side, like the suburbs on the north side have a certain reputation for being a little snooty or whatever.
Not unlike Romford, from what I hear. I love you, Romford. I want to come to Romford.
You won't find any snooty areas in Romford, I'm telling you.
No. But we actually had a dad who came past us, and we were actually handing out squeeze ball ears. But these were skin tone ears. They were not blue ears. We did change that. And the dad were like, talk your ear off, US Cellular, we're giving out these ears. And the dad just stares at us, and then he looks at his son, and he's just like, this is why you go to college. And he walked off. But it was that moment of like when you're an artist and that's that horrible thing that happened to you that you never forget. And you're like, well, what would I have done? Yeah. What would I have said? Let me redo that. Let me play this out in a way of like, if only I had had the words, you know, and that's kind of what that moment
I like we're working through these things. Like, it's amazing. I don't know, did you know that was going to stick in you forever?
No, I didn't.
You didn't know? It just did.
It just did. Yeah. You know, because it hits home.
I had those too.
Yeah. In the United States, as an actor.
I shake that?
Yeah.
Why can't I shake that shitty
What
thing?
is that thing? Yeah, why are the fangs of it in me?
Yeah, in me so bad.
And in the States, I think when you choose to be an artist, and I really think it's probably different country to country.
Yes.
But in the United States, it's, I don't know if it's the capitalism bent, and it's like if you choose something as an artist and you're not like making like the biggest movie and you're like one of the top 100 actors, then it's sort of like,
it's like, oh, maybe
that's cute what you're doing.
Maybe things will go well for you someday.
Yeah, why didn't you be a doctor? Why didn't you be a CEO of a, you know?
And you could be journeyman actors, basically like us.
Yeah.
Like working,
making
money, but if you're not really on a star machine or part of that, then you're not, you're really not viewed as successful. It's kind of funny because I actually have a mentor that was a journeyman actor, raised, and he was a Stratford actor, and he worked a lot with Maggie Smith. And so I realized a lot of the attitudes that I've had ingrained in me from Jack Weatherall were trained, he was trained by her. And he's just got this he's got this lack of understanding of why Americans treat actors the way that we have to, that we're treated. Right. Isn't it fantastic? He's not a product of this country. And so he still retains this attitude of like, it's a profession of dignity. And
but it's not seen that way here.
No.
So I feel like that my main character, Dina, in this film is struggling with her choice to have even become an actor. And so that was the core, that was one of the cores of this film. And that's why I love her journey toward the end, where she really takes control and just asserts herself as a filmmaker. Yeah. Not just an actor, but as a creator of entire films.
Yeah. And being a filmmaker, I'm sorry, what?
No, go for it.
I was just gonna say, and the thing about in America also, I lived in LA and I can tell you this, and it's, no different now. I don't know how you feel, but when I lived in Los Angeles and I went in and had a meeting as an actor, I got 5 minutes and they were just like, you were in, out, and whether or not they thought you had substance, you're sort of meat in the moment, unless you're really somebody on the come up or important already.
Yeah.
When you're a filmmaker, you get 30 minutes to just sit and talk about ideas.
Yeah. And you get to make the story.
And you get to make the stories happen.
Yeah.
And you get to lose a lot of your frustrations as a result, because your art and your need, if you have a need to say something, I hope as an artist you do, you get a chance to express it.
Yes, and that's why I love this character. Dina discovers that you can do that. Yeah. You can make your stories.
Yeah, she discovers her authorial voice and makes her story in the way that she wants to.
She wants to make it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very,
As
very
a
much so
CODA.
by the end. Yeah, and we'll touch on that in a quick second. But first of all, your supporting cast as well is you have all these passerbys, and every single one of them either drops a zinger of a one-liner or gives you some act right. How did you go about casting your passersby?
It's kind of hard to choose a cast, really, because we know so many good actors. Yeah.
So we're like, who's going to be good? Who's available?
Yeah.
Who's
available? And who have we worked with? Who do we know? Yeah, and that's what, flipping to this side of it, it's like it really is important that, if you haven't worked with them personally, that someone else has worked with them personally and can attest to, how they behave on a set. Like, sets are stressful. I'm sorry, like, it matters,
Yeah.
And so there was that component. But, of course, we wanted to have an array of, diversity of different kinds. So obviously we have, different diversities, like ethnic diversity, but, gender diversity, and then also, ability diversity. We even have an actor who is deaf, and one of my favorite deaf actors in town, Robert Schleifer. So that was important as well.
There's, I just need to point out that we talked about how there are no, anytime, and we'll talk about the whole CODA thing, but anytime there's someone who is disabled or pregnant in a film, it always gets commented on. And she was saying, it'd be great. It'd be like if we could have scenes in movies where someone was either pregnant or disabled and it never gets mentioned. And so, they have
it's not about that.
Yeah. So there's like the Bechdel test where it's like, hey, two women not talking about a man in a scene. That's a bit of a test to see if a film has that. I like to call it the Bedwell test. I've termed it that. I'm officially coining it. Take the Bedwell test. You have somebody who's either disabled or pregnant, and they don't talk about those conditions.
Yeah, it doesn't become about that. Yeah.
I like that. As an actress, as you're playing this actress, you technically are just kind of playing yourself, Tiffany. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
But the guy comes past, and the guy, the actor is deaf, as you say, and you're like, oh, I sign, but like it's not a thing, if you know what I mean. And I loved that. And then you started showing yourself do that, and it was like, that's an actress in the moment using a skill set, and that's what the film is actually about. And I really loved that. I did love that. So it's great that that is also something you're consciously putting in there.
Yeah, thank you so much for noticing that and mentioning it, because I really did want it to be a sort of like, not quite a what's the word, like an Easter egg, sort of like an Easter egg. Just like put it in there, make it part of the tapestry, and then.
Because his reaction was just similar to everyone else. He's like, woohoo, big deal.
Yeah, he's like, oh, okay, great. Yeah.
It's like, I signed. He's like, woohoo, I shall alert the press. And he tries to leave. He doesn't want to be bothered with this.
He's almost pissed, though. Actually, he's angry. Not drunk.
Yeah,
like, he's angry because he thought he had his card out of talking to a lady on the street. And she's like, oh, no, I can talk your language. And he's like, God, I got to talk to you now. Lady with a clipboard.
But and a quick one on that actress. I did see what her name was. I looked it up. The lady who runs the coffee shop.
Yes.
Nobody wants to talk to a woman with a clipboard. Her line delivery is so pitch perfect in those scenes. I kind of thought, right, I want to see her in everything.
Shariba Rivers. Oh,
that was it.
Yeah,
one of my favorite actresses. Yeah, we did a stage play together, and then we were writing it actually back in steering a dressing room, and I was like, I'm writing this piece, and I hope you will play this role, And she's like, oh yeah, and then in my head I'm like, oh, I hope we get to production, and then we did, and she said yes, and she was available, and yeah, her delivery of that, of just sort of like, I'm running a coffee shop, and I don't know what you're gonna do, but you are like, you're ruining my business. Like, people don't want to come in.
Yeah. I did love that.
Yeah.
So obviously the movie is personal towards yourself as well, but Was that the reason that you were like, right, I'm also going to direct this, or have you always wanted to direct, or what was the pivot?
Yeah, great question. Really great question. I think a lot of it was that I had helped construct the story itself. So I did know kind of a lot of what I wanted it to be. And then I wanted to partner with somebody who already has done this many, many times, who I trust, who I have a shorthand with. And so I was basically like, John, could we co-direct this? And that way we can have, my vision, because since I created the story, it's got that female point of view as well. And then you got all of your just amazing, he writes great women anyway. When he writes his script, you direct great for females. So I had no doubts or hesitation there. But yeah, this is all a new thing for me. And I'm like, even just yesterday I saw, a play, but I was just thinking of it differently in terms of now I'm looking at things through a directorial lens, and even shot a short film over the weekend as well. A colleague of ours, his script, and I see things differently now. I'm seeing the setups differently.
I already told that story of you sort of helping figure out some coverage.
Yeah.
I have on-camera students, and one of the things that I'm preaching right now, and it's one of the reasons I'd never co-directed anything before, and I originally was like, that's so difficult.
I was afraid to ask.
And I was like, let's say yes, let me try it, because I actually feel like it would work. And it's sort of leading towards a more collaborative, slightly less militaristic model of that filmmaking sort of needs on some level. Like, you need a decision maker at this point. But there's a lot of duos out there that make this work. Some of my favorite filmmakers, like Coen brothers,
true,
right?
Yeah.
They managed to do that. But you just sort of determine what your gig is going to be. And when you're acting, I'm going to listen to you, but you're going to not have to watch yourself.
Right.
And so that worked out really well. And I think it's for when she came and asked, the more voices that I get exposed to, and the more voices that are out there that I learn to sometimes follow, makes me more facile and makes me richer and makes my voice richer. So strictly selfish reasons.
But it was not actually, but I see your point.
Yeah, no, it was a great experience. I want to do this more and more.
And in what facet was Tiffany the biggest diva? Was it as an actress or as a director?
I mean, there's something happens when you put someone in giant blue ear. I mean,
can't put your finger on it.
But somewhere that suggests an even more massive head. She was great, and she. Good. I know when she's like, it's like a motorcycle. When the sound, you hear a sound like something's going wrong.
Right.
If she was worried about something, I could tell, and just put it to rest as quickly as possible, because it was usually legit. And then she'd go back to her job of being a brilliant actor, and so she did that. So, I mean,
just a couple continuity issues here and there. I'm like, you're like, it's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Well, on that one, because that is a question that I do like to ask people when I do these things, is all creators are very self-deprecating and like to whip themselves harshly when they see something that's wrong with their film when it's up on the big screen, and it's like, oh, you know what? Something went wrong there, but and it's not quite perfect, But what I like to ask is when you see fitting descriptions, and we can also apply it to Good Guy with a Gun, because I don't think I asked you this last year, John, but when you see it up on the big screen with an audience and whatnot, what is up there that you're hugely proud of? Like it could have been a day that just wasn't working, but actually the shot looks amazing. What are you most proud of with this shot?
This one with fitting
descriptions. Yeah, you go first.
Yeah. I mean, I could look at different parts of it. I mean, just speaking about shots, I just, I'm most proud of the fact that this even exists, that we got this to fruition. Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm most proud of. I'm terrified because I have an idea for a feature, but it needs to happen, and it will. I know it will. And if I say it out loud, it's a social contract. But the idea that it came to fruition is what I'm most proud of. But when you speak about shots, I feel like the discovery at the end of, I just still love the moment as a director, not even thinking, oh, my acting, just me looking at it as a director. I love the scene where she looks down and looks up and sees herself, and her discovery of the moment of, oh my God, I know what I have to do. I have to make my own stuff. But just that moment, I feel like, to me, is very clear. It's communicating exactly what I was hoping it would communicate. Yeah. And so I'm proud of that moment.
Yeah, the final cut, the cut point of the look on your face, yes. And that cut.
Yes.
It's just this moment of revelation where it just cuts out at just
early,
just the right time, a little early. Because
the smile actually gets bigger in the actual dailies, and we both agreed. I was like, no, we need to cut it a little sooner, where she's like happy, but there's room for who knows what kind of devastation after that. Yeah. But she has her path.
Yeah, we see a promise of a path.
Promise.
And a moment of real like revelation and confidence. So yeah. That few frames are really beautiful.
Yeah.
Like those 4 or 5 frames in a row or whatever that is, like a quarter of a second. It really. Yes. So that's nice to see, and that's just one of those subtle performances you just can't. First of all, you can't enjoy it more than once on stage, and you can't always see it. The thing I think I'm almost always most happy with is something that we discovered on the set. And for me, I try not to think about all the times I therefore didn't see something. I just try to focus on the times where we caught something, or like, let's explore this. This could be great. And then people just say, yeah, let's do it. Let's try it. And it worked out where she pulled back and we went in and out of focus. And I think that was something we were exploring just in the day. You just moved back. Mm-hmm. It was a really tight, I'm not sure, but there was something.
You're talking about in the ear?
Yeah. In just in ways like you were in focus. And then if you moved back, you went out of focus. And I don't know how much we discussed that, but I know on set, we saw places to apply that and make that sort of a reoccurring motif, and perhaps even just totally discovered it right there.
We did.
You just pulling back out of focus and disappearing into the haze. You did
discover that, and you wanted to play with that, and so you and Chris, our DP, you guys kind of did that and told me, like, and it was, it wasn't much, but like just a little bit in and a little bit out, because he was in there tight. But I agree with you.
Shallow depth of field, and we just playing with that actually is just something that makes me really happy. It just encourages me to always be looking for the things, like you want to go in and be like, I want to get everything that I planned. I want to be like Hitchcock. Like, if I do everything I plan, we can make this movie work. And that's awesome, because that's kind of, that's success, but it's really not like the real success for me. The real success is we got that stuff, and then we got this other stuff.
Yeah. Right.
And I think it's maybe something in there. Let's see what an editor does. I have ideas. Let's see what this editor does. Maybe there's something that really touches a much deeper, core of the story here, or a core that I didn't even recognize, only subconsciously. And to me, that's like the real beauty of what we do, is that we enter into psychological interiors of a character, and the process of making a film, hopefully you're doing that, like with yourself, and you're open to it. But usually you're just freaked out. You're just trying to be a job foreman.
A lot of hats. Putting on all the hats on.
Yeah. Oh, wait, gotta be village shaman. Damn it. Forgot about that part.
So, Tiffany, what's your favorite color?
What's my favorite color? Did he say color?
Yeah.
I do love blue.
So I don't know, like, I'm a little bit ignorant to the relevance of that, but what is with all of the blue?
So initially the blue ear was written, the screenwriter Dave put the ear to be blue, which is actually in real life a blending of the two Man on the Street things I did. We did have Talk Till You're Blue in the Face as well, and Talk Your Ear Off. And then Dave was like, let's put them together. Okay, so that's it. He just, that was it. But as we were doing our pre-production meetings, we were like talking about concept and talking about themes and color. And for color, John's like, I'm going to let you do color. You sound like color is speaking to you more than it speaks to me. And I was
I like
just
blue, but it's just because I like blue.
Yeah.
I'm not a
you
color.
do have a blue
Yeah.
t-shirt on.
I don't understand the science of color at all. And so I depend on others that connect to that, and they.
Yeah, we ran with it. One of our other awesome producers, Will Myers, and we had color conversations because I wanted a second color, and I wanted so blue being the color of the ear, but the thing that she puts on, that really the world puts on her, that she doesn't want to have to do, but that she's doing because it's a part of her job. She's doing, and then it becomes the things as people show up to her and give their opinions to her. They also have blue. So I wanted that feeling of they're literally painting her blue. They have their blue things. Our angry dad has his blue glasses. He is essentially creating the blue in her. But here and there, I needed a second color. I needed the other color that the discovery in the end of her, transformation of her seeing herself. I needed her to be a different color. To me, it was very important the young boy be in that same color, because he doesn't even speak, but he looks at her and there's the innocence, the blank slate of pre-opinion, of humanity before they give any opinions, of humanity, of when they just look at you and behold you as you are. So he was yellow. So he's looking at her, he's seeing her for who she is. And to me, I wanted that to be a foreshadowing of her discovery. And that's why that moment to me is very important, where Dina looks at the boy and the boy is looking at her and she sees something, but she doesn't know what it is yet. But she sees, and it's that promise of who she really is. And then he gets pulled away by his dad, who's wearing blue.
And then at the end, it led to this other discovery that we kind of came up with later in the process, which was, well, when she does sort of meet her authorial self, let's throw in an actual self.
Yes.
And she's wearing yellow. Now, in the cut, are you in the yellow tank top at the very end?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. That's good.
The yellow Dina comes in.
Yeah, but when
then
you
she's
look up,
still blue.
We
went back. This was a continuity thing where we were like, maybe she becomes yellow, once yellow Dina comes. But we didn't do that. Yeah.
I think it was just because the cut, no one would have noticed that you were in
It
a
was
slight,
so tight in.
So tight.
Yeah, it would have just been.
But we were playing with the idea of suggesting, right, that she transforms even in the clothing that she's wearing. But the best take was her in blue. So we
did that. We did shoot it yellow and blue, but yeah. So that's what that was. And I want to also say the man who speaks sign language, the deaf character, his glasses are also yellow. Those are the three places that it's yellow. And I wanted that where he had his yellow glasses and you thought there was going to be a moment of like, oh, here's her discovering herself and this deaf man is going to be so nice to her. And and then he pulls the yellow glasses off and he's like, fuck off. Sorry. And then he like pulls his sleeves up and you see his sleeves are blue. I don't know if that really makes it through there, but then he's actually a blue guy. So, and then yellow is here and there. The coffee shop has yellow. And then the find yourself here on the billboard is yellow. So she will find herself there.
That's the other thing I'm really pleased with is Kenny Yoder's art design of that. Did he do that?
So we had Sonia Hintz designed the poster. Kenny came in and Kenny Yoder came in and aged it and put all those posters. He literally went around Chicago and pulled off all kinds of decrepit, dilapidated pieces of just posters and different things and put it on there and aged it.
The vintage travel agency, mural or window poster.
That's what we wanted.
We
wanted. Dina is in her 40s. Dina is, past her prime. Dina is past promise. And it's this lady who's like, still in her, 22 years old, and she's got like the world ahead of her.
The world ahead of you can be yours.
Yeah, but then it's like all deteriorating and
it's just a false promise.
It's a false promise. Or a past promise.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not a false promise. It's just, misguided.
It's misguided,
So What is next for Fitting Descriptions? We're showing it at Romford Festival on Sunday the 26th between 9:30 and 11:30 over on Screen 1. That's my pimpage. Got to make sure I keep doing that. But what goes on after the festival run? What goes? Where else are you going to be showing it on the festival run?
Yeah.
How can people get to see it, and where next?
Yeah. So we are going to be actually also viewable online with the Seattle Film Festival, and that'll be accessible from the 25th of May onward, just for like a week and a half. You gotta buy a ticket and download it. Then we're gonna be in New York for 2 different festivals.
Yes, we're going to the New York Indie Film Fest,
Yeah.
and then like 2 weeks later we have the Manhattan Film Fest. Both really good festivals.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't know if Good Guy was in those.
Yeah,
it was in Manhattan. We won best film. So
yeah,
nice.
Man, we're gonna make it to at least one of those.
Yes,
and that'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna be at the NYCIFF, and Dave, my screenwriter and spouse, we'll be there for that one, and then I hope you'll go to the Manhattan one if you can.
Everyone, go to New York next month.
Yeah, go to New York. It's just a hop, skip, and a jump away.
It's not Romford, though, is it?
No, it's not the same. We would love to be there.
I'm so
know.
bummed I couldn't make it to Romford last year. I really, it's one of my greatest regrets. I think I just couldn't get out of the job.
Yep, it happens.
I wouldn't worry about it. And quickly on that, when I did speak to you last year, John, you were on like a backlot studio kind of thing that was all empty because nobody was working, because obviously the strikes are going on now. So how is it coming out? I guess it's not really come out the other side quite yet, but how are things looking now?
Well, we are there right now, and it's busy.
Same backlog.
Today, but there's things happening. There's a lot of new series coming in. There's a lot of business. Yesterday we were just like, we're so wrapped up in filmmaking, we hardly have time for like acting or anything like that. And she's like, I got 3 auditions. Yes, she's like, I got 3 auditions.
Yeah, we've got some right after
on?
This. Yeah.
What is this witchery? What is happening? The world is ending. Yeah, there's like
things are picking up in Chicago. Yeah.
So there's stuff happening. There's new series. Chicago's just got a great film scene going on here. Just in general, it's both with indies. People were kind of thrilled to see Good Guy because of that. What somebody made. First of all, we made an indie here, which is not unusual, but it was an action kind of thriller indie, which doesn't get done much. And I'm like, I don't know why that's the case. Why don't we do more of those like thrillers and action films here? It's getting easier and easier. So we're beating that drum. We have a couple ideas for features coming up that
we'll be knocking on your door again.
That's what we love to hear. That's absolutely what we love to hear. I'm going to start rounding it out in a second, but I do have one question that I like to end on that makes everybody hate me, but I love asking it. So we'll get there in a quick hot second. But before we do that, let people know where they can find you guys. Let people know where they can see, we've already kind of dealt with where they can see Fitting Descriptions, but where they can find you guys on social media, anything like that. Just pimp yourself for a minute.
Sure, for sure. Instagram is the best place to find Fitting Descriptions. So it's Fitting Descriptions Film. And then myself, Tiffany Bedwell, just Tiffany Bedwell on Instagram. And then also I'm on Facebook. That's what you wanted to know, right? Where you can find us? And then,
pretty much.
You can find me on Facebook and Instagram. John Mossman. There's not a lot of John Mossmans
on Facebook.
And so you'll find me there. John Mossman Films. I have a website, Mossman Films, John Mossman Films.
Yeah. Your handle on Instagram is what? Hey Mossman.
Hey Mossman, probably. Yeah. Look for Hey Mossman.
Yeah.
And then Myers Mossman is the company. I work with Will Myers and Tiffany. We made this under that umbrella with Jen Gelsum as another producer. And look for.
You'll
Mossman.
Find us there.
You'll find us.
Well, before I ask this last question, I have to say that I was absolutely buzzing, as I said before we started rolling. I was so happy in this short 2 hours. And I really enjoyed Fitting Descriptions. I think it's a fantastic little look at a life that you not necessarily see very often and not told as beautifully as it was. And as we were talking about that shot at the end of the screen, at the end of the shot, I will say that is one of my favorite moments in pretty much any show or any feature that we had this year.
Aww.
Because I wanted to know and I'm not going to ask you right now, but I wanted to know exactly what you were thinking in that moment, because it's just such a moment of like realization. It's such a beautiful moment. But we'll
I'm
move
so
on.
glad that resonated with you. Mm-hmm.
It's so good because it's just like, yeah, I love that. But anyway. Before I get told that I'm just gushing over people, let's move on. So my last question that I've been asking everyone, and it's an easy one, really, to be fair, is the old desert island question. So you're on a desert island, you've got one movie for the rest of your life on this desert island, but there's a twist to it because I am Kevin Halden and I am Nerdly, so there's a nerdly twist. You have to have remade the movie, and that's the version you have on the island.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, right.
And are you shooting it on the island, or you've remade it and you can only watch that and nothing else?
Your version of that movie?
It's your version of that movie. You don't have to shoot it on the island. You could have made it beforehand, but it's all you've got left on the island, just this one movie.
Oh, this is good, because you think like, well, I love that movie, but why would I redo it? It's so good. Why would I redo Oh Brother? Like, I could feel less lonely on a desert island watching those half-wits, 3 awesome actors in Oh Brother were be themselves. So I wouldn't want to redo that. You go. Let me think about this.
Well, we talk about we talk about like trauma, and so and the depths of despair, and I also am like addicted to true crime and horrible things that happen to people. I don't know why. And so for me, I think the film might have to be Room with Brie Larson.
Oh,
very nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good
Yeah.
There.
Yeah. And
Probably
I could go on about.
Genuinely think that might be the only movie that I've seen with Brie Larson where I actually liked Brie Larson in it.
Oh, I discovered her watching that, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna love Brie Larson," and I'm like, "But what? Nothing is like what you did in Room." Yeah,
I do say that with a slight tongue in the cheek.
Yeah, she's great.
I think just because I would be fascinated by whatever choices I made, and I'd want to watch it. I want to have a crack at Lost Highway.
I didn't see that.
Lost Highway.
David Lynch's.
Right, yeah.
Because I think that would just spiral me into craziness and obsession, where I could rethink what I did and maybe be happy with. Maybe it would make sense to me. More sense.
You finally understand.
If it truly is a Mobius strip, I can do that better. Are you listening,
I think,
David?
I think even a normal person making a David Lynch movie is still going to be confusing.
Yeah, I think that would just maybe have to be. I'm just going to go all in. Down to crazy kids.
Well, John, Tiffany, thank you so much for doing this. Thank you for taking time out of your day to talk to me. And most of all, thank you for letting Romford have your shot, for letting us show your baby up on the screen. I can't wait for everyone to see it. I think it's going to get a nice little reaction, definitely. And when you do make your next projects, 1,000,000%, let us see them.
We will be sending it your way, and
we might not show them, but send them.
Yeah.